My grandma, Terry Gamer, is my inspiration. She has been through the ups and downs of life and accomplished things many people don't in their lifetime. I'm so grateful I got the opportunity to interview her. What influenced you to start your own business?
Well, my husband and I had penny savers that had a lot of ads in them. And I was in my office one day, and a woman came in, and she wanted to ask me some questions about what I did and how that all worked. And then she said, after she heard what we had done, she said, "Boy, you know what? It would be a terrific thing if somebody had a newspaper that was just a local newspaper that was just for women." And she kept talking, and when she left, I thought to myself, oh my God, I could do that. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I had no idea how I was going to do it because all I knew about was how you have penny savers and how you sell advertising on penny savers. But I thought, what a wonderful thing that would be to have a publication that was just for local women, because there were magazines all around that would talk about the famous women who, everybody knew about. But local women, nobody knew anything about local women. Nobody ever talked about local women in a paper before. So I decided that I would be willing to try that. Since I was already in some form of a newspaper business, and while it was so different than what I did, I thought this would be something that would be wonderful to have.
Yeah.
And for women all over where I lived, all over the community in which I lived, there were so many women that did big deal things that nobody ever talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I would try it and see if I could make it work.
Wow. So what was your business focused on?
My business was focused on local women who had done something that was unusual or successful and that nobody ever talked about. And they weren't written up anywhere because the people that they would focus on in magazines and newspapers where I lived were generally men.
Yeah.
That were doing big deal things. And so by focusing on women, it was something that I had never heard of before, never seen before. And while I didn't know it at the time, I then later found out that this newspaper that I started, called Hartford Woman, was the first local newspaper of its kind anywhere in the country.
Wow.
And so that was a big surprise to me, and I didn't find out about it for quite some time later.
Yeah.
And once I started Hartford Woman and living in Connecticut, then I started Fairfield County Woman, which was on southern Connecticut, which was right on the border of New York, so it was a little richer, a little more, just a little richer, richer people. And then I started New Haven. So by the time I was finished, I had 3 newspapers in Connecticut.
Wow.
All women's papers. So that's how that all got started. And I was really scared. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that. But what I did know was that it would have to be based on selling advertising, because that's how we would make our money. We weren't going to charge anybody for the newspaper, for the publication. We would just have it put around all over. We had it in big companies. We would drop it off. And so I had to find an editor who knew how to write things.
Right.
And she would find other women writers who would write pieces of this. And then I had to find women who could sell advertising. And so I managed to find a woman who I knew that was selling advertising for some other publication, and I told her what I was going to start, and I asked if she would be interested in this, and then I hired her. And then she found 2 or 3 other women, and that's how we sort of got started.
Wow. So how did it come to an end?
Well, it came to an end because ultimately our company was bought out. We had other publications that got started over the years. We had Homes magazines that we ran, and ultimately a company wanted to buy our whole publication, our whole business out.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it was the publication that is now Disney.
Oh, wow.
And so they ended up buying us out, and which was terrific.
Yeah.
And then we ended up starting some other business because we needed to do something.
Wow. After listening to what my grandma has to say, it is very clear that if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish anything. She is the primary example of this and taught me that new things may seem scary and hard, but if you are driven and don't let people tear you down, you can succeed.